Right, listen up everyone. The most important decision in Newcastle United's modern history is happening right now, and the silence from the top has finally been broken. I'm Rodrigo, and you're watching Newcastle Mania, the channel made by a supporter for supporters who are absolutely mad about Newcastle United. You blinked, and Newcastle have become headline news everywhere. But here's the thing. What I'm about to tell you today isn't just another transfer rumor or match report. This is about the very future of our home, our fortress, our beloved St. James Park. And trust me, what's been revealed will change everything you thought you knew about where we'll be playing our football in the years to come. But first, just a quick word. If you love Newcastle and want to keep up with everything happening at our club, subscribe to the channel right now. It costs nothing, helps massively, and makes all the difference to the growth of our black and white community. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a single update. Right then, let's get into this absolute bombshell. We haven't made a decision yet. 5 words. Just 5 simple words that have sent shockwaves through the entire Toon Army. After months, no years of speculation, rumors, leaked plans, and endless debates in the pubs around Tyneside, Newcastle United Stadium Supremo Brad Miller has finally broken his silence. And mate, what he's revealed is both reassuring and absolutely nerve-wracking at the same time. Here's the headline that's got everyone talking. Newcastle United still haven't decided whether to stay at St. James Park or move to a completely new stadium. That's right, we're no closer to knowing where we'll be watching the Mags in 5 or 10 years' time than we were when this whole saga started. Let me break down exactly what's been said because this is massive. Brad Miller, the club's chief operating officer and the man in charge of the stadium project, sat down with the fan advisory board recently. And for the first time in absolute ages, we're getting some proper transparency about what's actually going on behind closed doors. Miller made it crystal clear. The board continues to assess all stadium development options and has not yet reached a final decision. Now, before you start throwing your remote at the telly in frustration, hear me out. He went on to explain that this is being treated as a complex and long-term strategic consideration with potential benefits for the club, city, and wider region. So what are the options on the table? Well, there are essentially 2 paths Newcastle can take here. Option 1. Stay at our historic St. James Park and expand the capacity to around 65,000 seats. The centerpiece of this plan would be a completely rebuilt Gallowgate end. Imagine that, a brand spanking new stand where we've celebrated some of our greatest moments. Option 2, and this is where it gets proper controversial, move to an entirely new stadium. The whispers suggest Leazes Park as the potential location which would keep us in the heart of the city, but obviously wouldn't be the same St. James we've known and loved for over a century. Now here's what's interesting. The club have already ruled out some alternatives. Moves to places like Gosforth Park? Forget about it. Newcastle insiders have knocked that idea on the head in the last year. And that absolutely mental suggestion about ground sharing with Sunderland during construction? Yeah, that was instantly rubbish too, as it bloody well should have been. The reaction to this announcement has been absolutely mixed across the Toon Army. On social media, you've got supporters split right down the middle. Some are saying, take your time, get it right, this is too important to rush. Others are getting frustrated, asking why it's taking so long when we were promised an update in early 2025. Michael McCarthy, the chair of the Fan Advisory Board, hit the nail on the head when he said it would be positive for fans to receive an update at the appropriate time, especially since nothing's been communicated since February. That's 8 months of silence, folks. 8 months of us lot speculating, debating, and arguing amongst ourselves about what the future holds. But here's the interesting bit. Lee Marshall, the club's communications director, made a point of reiterating that no decision has been made, and that this remains the genuine position. Now, why would he emphasize the word genuine, unless there'd been some skepticism about whether the club were being straight with us? The numbers tell an interesting story, too. Supporter services have only received 10 direct emails about the stadium over the past 6 months. Just 10. But as the meeting notes acknowledged, the subject continues to generate massive interest and sentiment across the wider fan base. We're all talking about it, in the stands, in the pubs, online, but apparently not many people are directly contacting the club about it. To understand why this is taking so long, we need to look at the bigger picture. Remember the 1990s? The Leazes stand was constructed over one close season in 1993. One summer. Then the Gallowgate end shot up just a year later. Those were different times, simpler times, but it shows what can be done when there's a will and a plan. But this isn't the 1990s anymore. Modern stadium projects are incredibly complex beasts. Look at Tottenham Hotspur. Their new ground took years to complete and cost over £1 billion. Everton's new stadium at Bramley-Moore Dock has been plagued with delays and cost overruns. These things aren't quick, they aren't cheap, and they definitely aren't straightforward. What's really interesting is the arrival of David Hopkinson as the new CEO. The Canadian brought 33 years of industry experience with him when he joined, and in his opening interviews, he made it clear where he stands. The stadium's location is the most important factor, and he favors keeping us in the heart of the city. The meeting notes reveal that Hopkinson expressed his enthusiasm for being part of the wider NUFC family, recognizing the significance of the current moment for the club and its supporters. He spoke about the energy, passion, and responsibility that comes with this role, and acknowledged that despite his 3 decades of experience, he's still learning and adapting. That's quite telling, isn't it? Even someone with Hopkinson's background is approaching this with caution and humility. It shows just how massive this decision really is. Let's talk about Brad Miller for a moment, because he's the man at the center of all this. As Chief Operating Officer, the stadium project essentially falls into his lap. And based on what he said, the club are taking an incredibly methodical approach to this. Miller's key message was simple but powerful. The priority is to ensure any decision is the right one, both in terms of feasibility and long-term impact. The process is ongoing and will be approached with the necessary rigor. Necessary rigor, that's the phrase that stands out to me. It suggests they're not just looking at the romantic or emotional side of this decision. They're crunching numbers, running feasibility studies, consulting with architects and engineers, probably running financial models that would make your head spin. And can you blame them? Get this wrong, and you've potentially damaged the club for generations. Make the right call, and you've set Newcastle United up for success for the next 100 years. No pressure then, Brad. When we look around the Premier League, we can see how other clubs have handled similar situations, and the results have been mixed to say the least. Arsenal left Highbury for the Emirates, and while they gained capacity and modern facilities, many Gooners still talk wistfully about the atmosphere and history they left behind. The Emirates has been criticized for years for being a bit sterile, a bit corporate, lacking that raw passion of the old ground. On the flip side, Tottenham's new stadium has been widely praised as world-class. The facilities are incredible, the atmosphere can be electric, and it's given Spurs a genuine edge both commercially and in terms of match-day experience. But it took them years to build, cost over £1 billion, and they had to play at Wembley for a season and a half. Manchester City expanded the Etihad rather than moving, adding a third tier to one end and increasing capacity to over 55,000. It worked for them, kept them at their home, and allowed for phased development. Could Newcastle follow a similar path with St. James? Liverpool have expanded Anfield bit by bit, adding to the main stand and the Anfield Road end. They've managed to increase capacity while maintaining the historic feel of the ground. But their location made expansion possible. St. James is hemmed in by buildings, roads, and yes, that Leazes Park that keeps getting mentioned as a potential new stadium site. West Ham's move to the London Stadium has been widely regarded as a disaster. The atmosphere is poor, the fans feel disconnected from the pitch, and there's a genuine sense they lost their identity when they left Upton Park. That's the nightmare scenario every Newcastle fan worries about. So what happens next? Well, based on what we've learned, we're looking at a long-term process here. And I mean long-term. Miller made it clear that any stadium move or major revamp will take years to complete. If Newcastle decide to stay and expand St. James, we're probably looking at phased construction over several seasons. The Gallowgate end would likely be the priority, potentially adding 10,000 to 15,000 seats to take us to that 65,000 capacity target. But building while still playing matches at the ground is incredibly complex. We might have to reduce capacity temporarily, which could impact revenue and atmosphere. If the club opt for a new stadium, and let's be honest, that's the option that terrifies most traditional fans, we're talking about an even longer timeline. Planning permission alone could take a year or more, especially if it involves Leazes Park, which has all sorts of protected status and heritage considerations. Then you've got the actual construction, which for a modern 65,000-plus seater stadium could easily take 3 to 4 years. And where would we play in the meantime? That's the million-pound question. The club have already ruled out ground sharing with Sunderland. Thank God for that. But temporary relocation would be necessary if St. James were demolished. There aren't many options on Tyneside that could handle Premier League crowds. Financially, This is absolutely huge. A new stadium could cost anywhere from £800 million to well over £1 billion in today's market. Even expanding St. James would run into hundreds of millions. That's money that can't be spent on players, although the increased matchday revenue and commercial opportunities could offset that over time. From a PSR, profit and sustainability rules, perspective, this could actually be beneficial. Stadium investment is typically excluded from PSR calculations, and the increased revenue streams from a bigger, more modern facility would give Newcastle more spending power in the transfer market long term. But here's what really matters, and it's something that transcends all the numbers, all the feasibility studies, all the business considerations. St. James Park isn't just a stadium. It's our home. It's where generations of Geordie families have made memories. It's where we've celebrated triumphs and endured heartbreaks. It's the fortress on the hill that strikes fear into visiting teams and pride into every black and white heart. The question facing Newcastle United isn't really about capacity or corporate facilities or revenue streams, though obviously those things matter. The real question is, can we preserve the soul of this football club while building for the future? David Hopkinson gets it. His insistence on staying in the city centre shows he understands that Newcastle United belongs to Newcastle, not some soulless out-of-town development. Brad Miller gets it too. That's why he's refusing to rush this decision, despite the pressure and the questions and the endless speculation. This is potentially the most important decision in our club's modern history. More important than any single transfer, any managerial appointment, even any single match result. Because this decision will echo through decades, affecting not just us, but our children and grandchildren who'll be pulling on those black and white shirts in years to come. So while the silence might be frustrating, while the wait might feel endless, maybe, just maybe, it's exactly what's needed. Because once this decision is made, there's no going back. And Newcastle United, this incredible football club that means everything to so many people, deserves to get this absolutely spot on. The club have said the priority is making the right decision, not a rushed one. And you know what? For once, I completely agree with them. Take your time, lads. Do your research. Crunch your numbers. Consult with experts. Listen to the fans. And when you're ready, only when you're genuinely ready, make the call that will define Newcastle United for the next century. Because whether it's an expanded St. James Park or a brand new stadium in the city, what matters most is that it's done right. That it honors our history while embracing our future. That it's a place where the Toon Army can create new memories while cherishing the old ones. The silence has been broken, and now we wait. But we wait knowing that when that final decision comes, it'll have been made with the care, consideration, and respect that Newcastle United Football Club deserves. And that, my friends, is where we stand with the biggest question facing our beloved club. No easy answers, no quick fixes, just a complicated, crucial decision that will shape our future for generations to come. What do you think? Should we stay at St. James and expand, or is it time for a bold new chapter with a new stadium? Get in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. I read every single one, and I love hearing from you lot. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to stay updated on every twist and turn of this stadium saga, and trust me, there'll be plenty more to come, make sure you're subscribed to Newcastle Mania. Hit that like button if this video helped you understand what's really going on, and share it with your fellow Magpies so everyone in the Toon Army knows the truth about our stadium future. I'm Rodrigo, this has been Newcastle Mania, and I'll see you in next one. Ho away the lads!